Greetings and salutations to all you folks out there. It is time for another check-in, and we're 2 days away from Christmas. So Merry Christmas to all of you people. Yeah, I'm going to be out of town. So all of the videos that you're seeing going up right now are very pre-recorded, so that everything is hopefully intact for you. Saturday, there is not a live cast. That would be this Saturday, come on, calendar, get up here. The 26th. Which will be the day after Christmas, which is the 25th. So yay Brink for calendar knowledge. Anyway, I'm going to be out of town then. So there is a pre-recorded cast going up, but unfortunately no live shenanigans. So sorry about that, guys, but it cannot be avoided. Anywho, news and channel-y things. Well, Christmas is coming, so preparations for traveling, getting things set up, the normal busyness that associates with the holiday. I'm sure a lot of you are experiencing the same. It's nice though. Winding down a year, it's a little bit different this year because obviously I got married this year. So things are, spending Christmas with the wife's family is going to be very different. So I don't know. We'll just have to see how that goes. Probably, I don't know. The more weird aspect of that is going to be not seeing my family, I think. I'm fine with going over there, but this will be one of 2 Christmases in my lifetime that I've not seen my family, so it's going to be a little odd, but there's a lot to get used to. I'm adulting very hard and learning as we go. I don't think anybody ever completely learns how to do it, but we all stumble along and find our own way. So, a couple of things to talk about, things that I've been curious about. One of them, this is completely, totally changing topics. Pricing structures for games. I've been thinking about this because in 2015, one of the biggest complaints about gaming in general was microtransactions. Now, in 2014... if any of you can remember back that far as the electronic stuff goes, gaming just sucked in general. Like, there was maybe 2 or 3 good games that came out in 2014, and as a whole, the entire industry just took a huge crap, and there was nothing good that happened in 2014. And in 2015, there was a bunch of really good games released. I mean, you've got Witcher 3, which got really super high marks. You've got the Metal Gear Solid game. You guys know everything that came out in 2015. There was 5 or 6 massive AAA releases that came with high praise associated, and a lot of indie games that came out that were really solid as well. So as far as 2015 goes, it was a good year for gaming, but the whole microtransactions thing kind of soured the water. That's mixing my metaphors, but whatever. You had Payday 2 that adopted microtransactions when they specifically said that they would never adopt microtransactions. You have all of these other games that instituted cosmetic purchases, massive pre-order shenanigans like with Evolve and that kind of thing. And it was a weird year. And as a whole, it seems like publishers and developers are more readily taking up microtransactions as a source of funding. And to me, just to throw my views out there before I ask the question, to me it seems a little weird. Let me quantify this. If you have a free-to-play game, obviously, there are purchasable elements because no one is going to design a game for free. If you have anything of quality, and I guess that also needs to be specified, because you can have games that are just asset flips or people who make the first game they've ever made and it took them 20 hours to do it, and they just want people to play it. Obviously, stuff like that you shouldn't have to pay for because they're not of a quality that is actually enjoyable. But we're talking about, in some cases, games that charged $60 up front, a full AAA release, $60 price tag, now including microtransactions, which I feel like is kind of ludicrous because yes, you have to pay for a game, but if you're going to do the free to play, or if you're going to charge $30 for a game and then charge little snippets here and there for extra content, or $60, and if you have legitimate post-release DLC that is not characters that were included on the disc, not characters that they already had ready at launch and just decided to make purchasable, that kind of thing. We're talking, 3 months after release date, like Call of Duty. Okay, nobody likes to reference Call of Duty as a good example, but I bought Call of Duty games for years. You buy Call of Duty, about 3 months, 90 days later, right as you're getting sick of the maps, they release a map pack, which has, 8 or 10 maps in it, and you get a fresh experience. All this new stuff to play on. It's legit quality, released by the studio, fully ready to play on, and it was good content, and I was willing to pay for that, and I was even willing to pay the $100 year-long pass fee for it to have the game plus all of the map packs that would becoming later on down the road, because it was a huge amount of content. Or games like Fallout, where you have additional chapters in the story that they charge money for because it is actually full modules added to the game. It's got the dialogue, the voice acting, new areas to explore, new missions, all that kind of stuff. So there are some instances where you can charge for a full AAA release and then charge for DLC, but microtransactions are taking it a step too far. And basically, I think everybody can kind of agree on what's proper, what is proportionally correct, but it's kind of a gray area where publishers keep pushing it further and further and further and further, and it's never really going to stop, because as long as people pay for it, it's an infinite money grab. And now you have where AAA studios are making their investment back and making large profit margins strictly on the release sales. And then they're just piling money onto the stack with microtransactions, which I'm all for making money. I'm not necessarily against that, but to me it seems like some of it at least is price gouging, especially where the microtransactions affect your performance in the game, where it goes beyond cosmetic stuff. So anyway, the point of saying all of this is there is going to be a straw poll in the link of this video, and I would love to hear what you guys think as far as your preferred method of payment. And this is what I think is a balanced approach to it, proportionally correct, assuming that you have a AAA quality release. So you have a AAA game that comes out, and it can be either free to play with expansions and massive amounts of microtransactions. And for the example on that, I'm going to use a game like Hearthstone. It's free to play. You can jump in, have a huge amount of fun. You can play the entire game with some grinding, but you can purchase the story mode, which is an enjoyable experience, and you can purchase packs, which bring in the random elements, so you're not actually buying strength for your deck, but you are buying strength for your deck. It stays relatively well balanced, though. So that would be an example of a big release, fully polished, all of the backing support of a large publisher, but it's free to play. But it also has a bunch of microtransactions and purchasable content. So that would be example one. And then you've got games that charge an entry fee, but then have microtransactions and additions later on. And I had I'm not coming up with one off the top of my head. I should have thought of this before the video. But basically, a game that, let's say, charges $30 for a game that you would typically find as $60, but you have a bunch of microtransactions available, and the content is a little scarce. And so you start purchasing to fill in the rest of the content. Basically, you're buying a starter pack sort of deal for $30. And then you've got $60 plus DLC, which would be like Call of Duty or Battlefield, something like that, where you have $60 for the initial game, which is a complete game a complete campaign. It has plenty of multiplayer content, or whatever the game does. If it's Fallout, you just have a huge world to explore. It is a standalone entity that does not need anything else added to it for an enjoyable experience. And then you can purchase all the DLC packages to expand on that experience. That would be a $60. And then the fourth option would be a game that just straight up charges $100. I mean, no wheeling and dealing, no, oh, this is pre-order, so you're going to get all this extra stuff. It's just a game that literally costs $100. But it's from a studio that you know is going to back it up with content. So it would be a full release schedule for a year or 2 years after the game comes out. They've got guaranteed server support. They've got toolkits for community modding support. They've got publisher created map packs and units and weapons and all that kind of stuff coming out. And it's just like a rolling experience with a really high entrance fee type deal, or something on the scale of Fallout 3 plus all of the expansions, or Fallout New Vegas and all of, all the content is there, but without having to purchase DLC. And I'm just kind of curious as to what you guys think about your preferred, what your preferred method of payment is, how you would go about getting that. Because I think there's a certain amount of discontent with each one. Because if you get a game for free and then it's asking for money all the time, but it's a super high quality release, you may play the game for a bunch of hours and then you eventually get used to it and start taking it for granted. And you're like, well, why is it always asking me for money? And there's roadblocks no matter which route you go down. But yeah, I think that pretty much is the extremely rambly summary of that poll. So find that down in the description and vote, and also comment, because I want to hear your thoughts on this. Even if it's a tremendous wall of text, I plan to read these. And I just want to know what you guys think. All right, I think that's everything that I've got to go over. I am going to get out of here. As always, thank you so much for watching. Have a Merry Christmas, and I will see you in the next one.